Here we're talking about military people. We're talking about military, about politicians, about cardinals. The Vatican is involved in ufology in ways that they can't even imagine. That they have secrets under the Vatican that are buried that could really change the course of history.
Let me just say one more thing. The Vatican invested an awful amount of money in telescopes. You know that? You know why? They're looking for Nibiru. They want to know one day before anybody else when Nibiru's coming to say, the planet of the saviors is coming, and they want to put their flag on it.
In the early 1990s, a bitter conflict was brewing for the control of a mountain in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona. The mountain was Mount Graham, and the conflicting parties were the San Carlos Apache Indians and an international consortium of astronomers led by the Vatican. Mount Graham has always been sacred to the Apache. It's mentioned in many of their songs and oral traditions and is believed to be the abode of powerful spiritual beings. In 1984, the Vatican, together with the University of Arizona, chose Mount Graham as a site on which to build several state-of-the-art telescopes, including the Large Binocular Telescope, the largest and most advanced telescope in the world, which would be fitted with a specialized device strategically named Lucifer. The Lucifer device enables observations to be made in the near-infrared wavelength range and can penetrate through dust clouds deep into the far reaches of outer space.
The Vatican was very aggressive in its move to secure Mount Graham for their observatory. Representatives of the Apache tribe pleaded with the consortium to choose another mountain, but their protests fell on deaf ears. Legislation for the approval of the project was pushed through governmental channels, and the Apache were pushed aside.
During an interview in 1997, radio host Art Bell asked the former Jesuit priest Malachi Martin about why the Vatican had muscled its way onto Mount Graham and what it was they were looking for in deep space. Malachi Martin's response ignited a firestorm of speculation.
All right, Father, the Vatican has a very, very great deal of power.
That's right.
We've talked about it. They have, whether they admit it or not, a great deal of political power all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they did fairly recently was they muscled, and I do intend to use that word, they muscled their way onto a mountain in Arizona, Mount Graham, and they built an observatory on Mount Graham in connection with an Arizona university.
Yes.
However, the Vatican has the larger part of the control of this observatory,
Yes.
looking at deep space things.
That's right.
Now, why would they have done that, Father?
Because the attitude, the mentality amongst those who at the higher levels, the highest levels of Vatican administration and Vatican geopolitics, know that now knowledge of what's going on in space and what's approaching us could be of great import in the next 5 years, 10 years.
Carefully and well-chosen words, Father. Thank you.
This guy was no Johnny-come-lately. Malachi Martin worked under 3 popes, was favored by them. He was a formidable polyglot. He could speak 17 languages, and he could translate most extinct languages. He was the first guy that broke the news about how hundreds of young boys were being molested by what he called Luciferians, satanic priests, that he said reached all the way to the highest levels of the Vatican, among the College of Cardinals. And at the time, you know, Jesuits and others were saying he's a chronic liar, he's making all this stuff up. Well, history proves that he was actually telling the truth.